Story 1. Ordering in constantly instead of cooking and entertainment subscriptions like Netflix or Disney Plus. Story 2. I don't judge others for it, but if I spent money on a haircut, hair coloring, or any kind of expensive clothing, not talking about designer brands, just typical mall clothes or expensive jewelry, I would feel foolish. Granted, my style works well with affordable and do-it-yourself items, but I understand it's not for everyone. Story 3. Buying bottled water when there is perfectly good tap water is like paying for air when you can breathe for free. Story 4. Spending money on low-quality items for short-term use or items that have poor design or inferior materials is unwise. Story 5. Going out to eat makes me bitter and sad. I lie to myself because I can't even afford the $10 3 for me Chili's menu. I haven't eaten out in the 2 years of unemployment I have been going through. Story 6. Seeing the same movie multiple times in theaters is only worthwhile for life-changing films or when spending time with friends. Buying junk food that you do not enjoy is unproductive. Donating to political parties is not beneficial. Story 7. Takeaways. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a takeaway occasionally. However, before I started cooking for myself consistently and properly, I would spend at least 3 times more on food each week than I do now. Story 8. In-app purchases for games include extra power-ups and loot boxes. I've bought games I like, but I won't pursue the additional content because I know it will not provide value. Story 9. Branded clothes that are ridiculously expensive just for the sake of it. I'm not talking about the expensive ones that are worth it and last long. I'm talking about the excessively priced brands. I could buy a house instead of purchasing one item of clothing. Story 10. I stopped all my vices, including drinks, cigarettes, and vapes. They have no value or contribution to my life. I realized this when I lost my job and had to use my savings to get by until I found work. Additionally, I have also cut back on coffee shops. You can call me cheap and boring, but I appreciate the change. Thank you. Story 11. 90% of vitamins and supplements can be obtained from a balanced diet. If you are feeling unwell, consult a doctor for a professional diagnosis of your needs. Story 12. It's pretty niche and not a huge expense, but disposable razors are an option. I spent about $100 on a Dovo straight razor more than 20 years ago, and it is still going strong, shaving 2 to 3 times a week during that whole time. Maintenance isn't difficult as long as you stay somewhat diligent with it. Story 13. Renting property is not an option for many individuals. Most people feel compelled to do so, and the younger generation has been particularly affected. Story 14. Things that you rarely use. Expensive products are often overpriced, while cheaper products tend to be of poor quality and do not last long. One of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett is, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get." Story 15. Sneakers. I spend a lot of money on shoes for my children and myself, and it feels like a complete waste from a financial perspective. However, it is something we enjoy, and the conversations it brings with others make it worthwhile, so I continue to do it. Story 16. Expensive purses can be appealing, but I have seen many cute and inexpensive options. One of my patients often receives compliments on her adorable purse whenever she visits my office. She enjoys sharing that she purchased it at TJ Maxx. Story 17. Getting coffee every day can be convenient, but it is easy to make coffee at home. It takes just 3 minutes with a machine that costs $100. Story 18. This question again? What a subreddit. I bet all the answers won't be exactly the same as every other time. Story 19. Fashion allows you to dress nicely and look good in clothes that do not follow the latest trends. It is often designed to make your older clothes seem undesirable, encouraging you to purchase new ones. Story 20. A variety of car modifications include spoilers that are ineffective, sound systems that disturb the entire neighborhood, fake hood scoops, lowered suspensions, and extreme camber angles. Story 21. Rent and utilities. What could you do with that money other than support the landlord or bank? Every 30 days, non-stop, forever. Story 22. I'm fortunate and can afford to upgrade my phone each year, but there's no additional value. I'm not interested in an embedded eye feature. and I have a nice digital single-lens reflex camera for high-quality pictures. It's not worth it. Story 23. I have used food delivery services once, only because we received a $30 voucher. After all the charges, I saved about $5 compared to buying the meal myself, and that was because I picked up the pizza myself. With delivery, it would have been more expensive, even with the $30 discount. Yet I see people using food delivery services for a McDonald's meal, which likely doubles the cost. Story 24. Buying pasta at a restaurant hurts my feelings to pay over $22 for something that costs very little to make at home. However, I am also a chef and have the skills to prepare it myself. Story 25. Buying mainstream luxury clothing. Be honest, there is not a 300 to 400 euro difference compared to a regular white t-shirt you would find in H&M. Story 26. It's better to do the job correctly the first time than to try to figure it out on the fly, although figuring things out on the fly can provide valuable experience. One must find a balance in this. Story 27. Almost every pill or vitamin marketed as a nootropic is a scam. However, people purchase them because the government is ineffective at regulating non-prescription supplements. Story 28. Buying plastic bottles of water when you could have been prepared and brought your own water bottle filled with water. Story 29. If you are in a highly populated, centralized area, the drivers can likely make more stops, resulting in less money per stop to hit the same total. They can perform multiple runs at once or choose to go with a rideshare service, depending on their preference. Story 30. Cell phone. I have never had one and do not need one. Most people do not need one. They just think they do and make up illogical excuses to have it. For the general public, it has become like an appendage. It is concerning. Society as a whole is sadly quite pathetic. Story 31. A waste of money is any purchase you come to regret later. However, for me, the biggest waste of money is getting food delivered. Story 32. Not finding more ways to save money and not taking the time to plan and systematically figure out how to shop results in missed savings opportunities. Essentially, it's a lack of attention to the money you could save by putting in the extra effort to determine where and how to save. This can be categorized as laziness. You'd be surprised at how much money adds up when you systematically track your routine purchases from various places, rather than relying solely on the same online delivery service. For example, gas prices can be high, but grocery stores often offer solutions. One store provides 4 times the reward points on Fridays. I purchase my regular items there every Friday or at least take advantage of sales when needed. While I may not buy everything I need, I accumulate substantial fuel reward points, and the convenience of online orders makes the process easier. Additionally, they frequently run promotions for earning extra fuel points on gift cards. My children enjoy dining at specific restaurants that we often visit for convenience. I buy a few gift cards each month and let them choose a card once or twice a week, benefiting from the fuel points, as I know we will likely end up at those restaurants after games or events. People often complain about prices yet will not spend a couple of hours each week navigating their regular purchases to find savings. It is astonishing to me. Story 33. Shoe collecting is often associated with individuals who do not wear the shoes they collect. Many of these shoes are not even rare, just overpriced like Jordans and other basketball shoes. They often have a very plain appearance. Story 34. Buying food and letting it go bad. Getting an excessive amount of food from DoorDash just to store it in the fridge. Story 35. Tickets to sports games. The view is better on television anyway. Rather than being in the comfort of your home, why would you want to be surrounded by hundreds of people shouting for no reason? Story 36. Designer clothing and accessories are not necessary. You do not need to spend $300 on sunglasses that you will likely lose in 2 months due to being unorganized and forgetful. Story 37. Nice cars for the sake of being new. Your 2025 Nissan gets you to work exactly the same as my 2002 Prius. Mine just gets better mileage and is inexpensive to insure. Story 38. People who buy branded items often believe they are superior, even though 99% of the time, the cheaper or off-brand alternatives perform just as well, and sometimes even better. Story 39. Newest phone models are usually hundreds of dollars or euros more expensive than other models that perform the same functions. The vast majority of consumers hardly use mobile phones for their advanced capabilities. Very few people engage in advanced graphic design on these devices, and only a select few use them for high-end gaming, where performance truly matters. I hardly notice any difference between the camera of a newer model and that of a slightly older one. They are merely status symbols, and often they are quite tacky. Story 40. Bluetooth headphones. Subscription-based music applications. Purchasing cloud storage subscriptions. All Apple products. Smartwatches. Story 41. You don't need coffee. Just quit your addiction, and you'll be much healthier. You'll save time and money too. Smoking is incredibly harmful to your health and very expensive. It is more effective than anything else at causing cancer, aging your skin and body, and ruining your teeth. It's detrimental to you and those around you. For what benefit? You can get a similar boost from many other sources. Story 42. Almost all entertainment subscriptions include Hulu, Netflix, Paramount, and others. New cars are those with an original sticker price over $35,000, including leases. Story 43. Clubs, cars priced over $30,000, most skin and hair products, most processed food items, any restaurant where I can cook better, cheaper, and faster, insurance that offers little to no coverage, clothes or items that are expensive due to brand rather than actual quality, and most status symbols like jewelry and watches are all avoidable. You can live a beautiful, healthy, loving, fun, creative, and exciting life with very few possessions. Story 44. Flying is not only a waste of money, but it is also extremely harmful to the environment, just so people can lay in the sun or ski down a hill. Story 45. Life is for living and is short. It can end at any moment. Live your life, go on that dream holiday, enjoy that decadent dessert, and buy those ridiculously expensive shoes. Story 46. Vaping is so boring. It is just flavored smoke. Are you damaging your lungs for that? At least marijuana provides a high. Story 47. Hallways and other inefficient home design choices can be improved. Instead of using cupboards and drawers for dishes and silverware, we could simply have 2 to 4 dishwashers. Dishwashers also store the dishes, so why do we move them in and out into cupboards? It's similar to removing your car seats every time you aren't using your car and putting them in another vehicle for storage. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.